Welcome to Why Though the podcast.
We did it! That was
Baby!
amazing!
Hello,
Um,
Destiny Johnson.
Hello, Lizzy Acker. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm in an office here at the Oregonians
I see that,
office.
yeah. I'm in my home office, which is just the chair in my room, because I'm on dog duty today.
Ooh. My home office is a chair in my kitchen, so congrats on having that chair in your room.
Thank you so much. It's
Must
a
be
recliner.
nice.
It's nice. I got it from Fred Meyer, so.
Ooh, Fred Meyer. Fred Meyer is really, I grew up in Corvallis, Oregon, where we didn't have a mall, but Fred Meyer was it. Yeah, if you wanted to see and be seen, just go to Fred Meyer.
That's how I feel about Publix, which is the reigning grocery store chain where I'm from. I miss Publix. I think their politics are not great, but the prepared food is amazing. So we live in a capitalist rent society.
Love a grocery store.
Yeah. Did you get up to anything fun this weekend?
Fun. No. Did I have any fun this weekend? I think I'm trying to remember. Yeah, like we saw some people, did a few things. Generally, also had kind of a relaxing weekend. However, on Saturday, I did go for a bike ride, which I've been running and haven't been riding my bike as much as I have in the past. And I went for like a 15-mile bike ride and it felt great. I'm like, oh yeah, I love riding my bike too. I like to be outside. I had this like thought while I was in the shower after my bike ride. I was like, I think, I love cardio. Like I could be one of those hunter-gatherers just walking around, chatting with my friends, picking up berries, carrying a baby. But then I was like, actually, no, that would be a freaking nightmare because what if the berries run out? You starve, or you get sick, you die, or you have a baby, you die. Like, never mind. It was a full like romanticizing history and then remembering the present time is better. Yeah. I'm a woman, so it's just better to be alive now.
Yeah, I'm glad for you and your cardio. I hate cardio. I just want to lift heavy things. And cardio, you have to you should do to have I walk my dog every day.
That's
I've got
good.
2
That's
dogs.
cardio.
They got to go out. They got to go walk. Yeah, right. But if put me in the corner to lift heavy rocks in this fake.
You'd be that one in this case.
Paleolithic situation. Yeah.
See, like walking around with my friends is like my favorite thing to do. Just like walking around and gossiping with friends.
Say it's good for your brain.
Yeah, so I hope that if you're listening to this, you're walking and you feel like you're talking to us.
Yeah. Well, I have a very important question for you today.
Okay.
It's almost meta in nature, if you will. I was wondering, as a fan, a listener, and a reader, how and why you got into giving advice.
Yeah. Well, let's see, I worked at the Oregonian for 8 years. And before that, I worked at William Week. I had a column at William Week called Lady Things, RIP to that column. I only worked at William Week for 8 months, but it's kind of like an intense 8 months of my life. And I loved doing that column. It still remains one of my favorite things I did, where I would I'm not like a traditionally girly type. You may have noticed, Destiny. So I would do things that were like feminine, and like try out feminine things. That was like the whole sort of idea of the column. Anyway, I'm only saying this because I loved doing that and trying things out and writing a column. And when I got to the Oregonian, I don't have a column. I write about all kinds of things. But I have, I like the consistency of a column, like this place. And, I like the structure of an advice column, to be honest, because first of all, it's not just me writing. I think one thing about Lady Things, one thing about a lot of the writing I've done in my life is like, it's about me. I have MFA in fiction writing, but I definitely wrote mostly creative nonfiction about myself. I found myself to be an interesting topic for much of my life. I feel less like that now. What I like about an advice column is that like I do get to write about my experience, but also I get to talk about other people's experiences. And this is a long answer, Destiny. I I noticed how popular the advice columns were at the Oregonian amongst readers, and so several years ago. I mean, this was a while ago, before the pandemic when my column started. I guess, yeah. Um, but I've been pitching it to our boss, Carly, that I should have an advice column. Um, and finally, she was like, "Yes, you can do an advice column." Why am I qualified? Good question. I don't know that I'm qualified, but
Oh, I
you
didn't
know,
ask why you were
no,
qualified.
I'm not necessarily qualified.
I feel like you've proven it at this point. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I like, you know, I think that I learned a lot of hard lessons in my 20s and 30s, and I feel now. I mean, then I was still in my 30s when I started the column, but now I'm 41, so I'm like middle aged. Um, yeah, I've always been interested in like how we're all the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very human thing to not only talk about your own experiences, but also, sort of meet people where they are with their experiences. And um, it's interesting when people want to share stuff with you. I mean, we're journalists, so people tell us all sorts of stuff from things they should and to things they really should keep in their mouths. But I think it's great that people want to reach out because they want you to talk to them and tell them things.
Yeah, one of the things I probably mentioned this on here before, but I feel like I'm finally an successful advice columnist when people I know will call me and ask for advice and be like, "This isn't for the column, Lizzy. I just want you to give
Yeah.
me advice right now." And I'm like, "Well, first of all, I'd love this for the column, but I understand." Um, yeah, so I feel like people do at least, at least my advice isn't terrible. And I like the container of it. Like I've found that um my column is kind of different than other advice columns. If you read like Dear Abby or whatever, her answers are usually a few sentences long and include get therapy, but, or
Go
whatever.
by
They're
God.
just
I've seen
short.
that.
Yeah. So for me, it's like a place where I get to write. I love the kind of like journalism I do. I mean, I'm on the life and culture team. I write about all kinds of things in my journalism part of my job. But the advice column is not that, like it's anonymous. I'm
Hmm.
not fact checking anything. We're talking about feelings here. We're not talking about facts. You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
you can write me a letter and you could change all of the facts and the feeling could remain the same, which is 100% the opposite of journalism. Like, I need to know the facts.
Yeah.
Feelings, you can tell me, but like, we need the facts here. So
Yeah.
even when I'm writing about ice cream, it's like, I need to know the flavor. I need to know the ingredients. I can't just be like,
Hmm.
it's food.
Yeah.
So I love
It makes
that,
me feel nice.
right, I love it. Um, yes, I love the ability that the advice column gives me to just like write about things. I mean, like a few weeks ago, I just wrote about my feelings about how people are acting this spring, and I've done that. And I still sometimes write columns for the Oregonian about things that don't like fall into the advice column, but I can't like shoehorn into the advice column. But I feel like it gives me this space every week to, I don't know, just talk about what it means to be a human being, which is something I'm very interested in as a human being.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this, and we talked a little bit about like gossip and stuff like that, like these things. So I saw we post sometimes clips of this to social media, and
Hmm.
I saw a comment on TikTok that was like brain rot. Like we were talking about um Avengers Endgame. So like yeah, maybe it wasn't like the most
Yeah.
in-depth thing ever, but like
Hmm.
to call really anything brain rot, I think is such a funny and weird take. Like the function that advice columns and also just general gossip, like we as a human species would not survive. Like we would not have
Hmm.
survived
Right.
if not for the advent of these things. And
Hmm.
I know that's like that makes like an advice column like sound really deep, and I don't mean it like that. I just mean like it serves a real function, and
Hmm.
I
Totally.
appreciate that function, and lots of people do.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying
So
just moments ago, walking around with my friends talking is like the thing that makes me feel human. And
yeah,
I think like since, 2020, in 2020 for 2 years, we all basically like were at home and we, different degrees, different whatever, depending on where you are. Like
right.
there was this huge trauma that we all experienced and we haven't even begun to deal with what that means, in my opinion. But for me, part of like um, returning to humanity in a way has been like connecting in person with people I love, just talking about nonsense, you
Hmm.
know, or not nonsense. Because when you have that relationship with someone where you're like, we just walk around and we talk about bullshit, you can also be like, well, we also walk around and talk about things that are really important to us,
Right.
and we like hash things out. But it's hard to go from like nothing to like, I need to talk to you about something very important to me. I need to work this thing out, you know?
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, I don't know. I just think these things have always been really important to us. And I'm kind of like, there was points during the pandemic, the hardcore parts of the pandemic where I was like, amazing, things are changing for the better. We're really doing it. We have changed society. And I feel like now we're at this point, where it feels the opposite. Like people are really sad, isolated, and um, unsure of how to, like, I don't know, like, what do we do? How do we move forward? We're like caught in a loop in a way. And
Hmm.
I think just like talking about it is one way to get out of it and being
For sure.
together.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like as I'm saying all these things, I'm thinking about my smash. So when we get to my smash, we'll talk more.
Oh, well,
Sure.
I was gonna say, thank you for
Mhm.
answering that. I was always kind of curious. I mean, you and I have chit-chatted about it a little bit,
Sure, yeah.
but I was gonna usher us into Smash or Pass if
Oh,
that's
good. Thank
what you want
goodness.
to do. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
well, this
yeah.
is Smash or Pass. It's a little segment where we talk about things we like, aka things we would smash, things we don't like, aka things we would pass on. Lizzie, you
Mhm.
just said you had a good one, so why don't you go first?
Good or bad, I don't know, but I have to smash the Tortured Poets Department.
Great.
Controversial, maybe.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's new album, Tortured Poets Department, came out last, like, it's only been a week. Okay, Destiny, it's
Yeah.
only been a week. It came out Friday, not the last one, the one before, and I listened to it all over the weekend because on Monday I knew I wanted to write about it because I've like written about some of her. Sometimes I write about her albums when they're big, like I'll in a kind of a silly way, in like I'm gonna rank these songs.
Sure.
This album has 31 songs, so I was
Yeah.
like, I can't rank them. Like I can't even listen to all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have the time, but I did obsessively listen to it for the whole weekend. And on Monday, I wrote about it. And so my smash is the album, but also kind of like the reaction to the album because I wrote about it, and several people I know were like, "Album's not for me." I like Taylor Swift, or I don't like Taylor Swift. This album's not for me. And I was like, I think you might need to listen to it like 100 more times.
Well,
And
I'm a notorious lover hater,
yeah,
which I think is like an unpopular opinion, or at least
yeah,
anecdotally it has been.
hmm,
I like Taylor Swift. I wouldn't call
hmm,
myself a Swiftie because
me either.
I don't
Yeah,
think she's without fault, and I think people who are like stans of people think that these people are without fault. But I'm a
right.
fan of her music. I think
Sure,
she's
yeah.
very talented. I listen to most of her music.
Hmm,
I'm a lover hater. So
hmm.
it happens, not everyone's gonna be for
Yeah,
you because
yeah.
they all have really different vibes. This is a really different vibe,
It is.
you know.
But what I will say is several of those people have since come back to me and said, I listened to the album a bunch more times
Love that.
and I have 5 of the songs memorized. And
There you go.
there's even a CNN article about someone like, I judged this album too quickly. What was I thinking that I could judge an album that's 31 songs in like a day, on one listen?
Yeah.
You cannot judge this album on one listen. But I think there are a few songs on it. I cannot believe that I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is not the single. It should be the single. Such a good song. And I had a really bad day on Monday. So I wrote about it, had a bad day. And I was like, this is the perfect song. I listened to this song over and over again. And I would say anyone who's having a bad day should listen to it. But I also feel like one thing that Taylor Swift really does is she gets the moment, and this is a song about like being depressed and going to work anyway, basically. That's what the song is like. I cry a lot, but I'm so productive. It's an art is part of the chorus. And it's like, we all do that. Yes, in some ways Taylor Swift is talking about herself on the Eras tour, which is not relatable in any way. On the other hand, like, most of us have to go to work, and we have to go to work when we're not feeling super into it or super happy at all. And that's how I felt on Monday, and she spoke to me on that day.
I think the magic of Taylor Swift is that she is a multimillionaire. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
but she will
She's very,
always
very wealthy.
maintain, yeah, and problematic in the way that all wealthy people are. But
Right.
she will forever maintain this girl next door thing. Like, she really does. She really does say what she's your most poetic friend. You know what I mean? She
Mm-hmm.
says what is happening, and you're like, I relate to that. I'm a girly pop, and
Right.
I relate to that.
Right.
And girly pop, non-gendered. Like,
Mm-hmm. Right. Certainly.
I relate to crying but having to go to work. I relate to liking the boy and the boy not liking me back. I relate, you know what I mean? I'm mad
Right.
at my
Yeah.
ex, like blah blah blah. Like, she
Totally.
just gets it in that
Yeah.
way.
Like, somehow
And I
she
think
has
that's really her
been able to.
magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's captured it. Like, somehow, even though she's in the stratosphere when it comes to fame, she
She
has,
feels like your friend the way that she
yeah,
writes.
hmm
Yeah.
she really does. And I think
Yeah.
that's why she's in the stratosphere, honestly.
Yeah. I
Okay, do you have a
appreciate
smash?
that of
Yeah.
her. I do. It's a intro smash to the actual smash. So,
Okay.
okay. So there's a new show on Amazon Prime. You may have heard of it. It's called
Mhm.
Fallout.
Haven't heard of it. Okay.
It's very good. It's based on a
Okay.
video game. So this video game is like a
Oh, okay.
smash hit
I've
video
heard the
game.
video of the video game.
The video game. Okay, so the first Fallout came out years and years ago.
Hmm.
The most recent Fallout 4, came out in 2015. So this is almost a 10-year-old game.
Yeah. Okay.
And game technology, if you don't know, you don't really play a lot of video games, it ages pretty quickly.
Hmm.
So I watched the show. The show's pretty good. I would recommend the show. It's not my smash. The smash is the game. The
Oh,
game,
okay.
because I watched the show and then I was like, maybe I'll play this game. The style of game is not really something I'm interested
What's the
in, but I
premise of
was
the
like,
game?
oh, I'm sorry. The premise of the game is that basically it's divergent American history. So we get to the 60s and everything is normal, but then we
Mm-hmm.
start to harness nuclear power. So the ideals of the 60s stay as
Mm-hmm.
humanity goes on, but we have like house robots, and there is, like the technology has gone so far, people are thriving, but the
Mm-hmm.
threat of nuclear war because of the nuclear power is very real. So this company called Vault Tech starts creating these vaults for basically rich people to buy so they can survive the apocalypse. Come to find out, Vault-Tec is not what you think it is, and a lot of these vaults were used for like experimentation, or like they lied and they made an idyllic society just to watch the way these people would act. But like bombs did fall, but the vaults were not the safe havens that people thought they were going to be. And so you, in the video game, you come out of the vault and find that that the world has moved on, unbeknownst to you. In this sort of radioactive post-apocalyptic world. And that's also the premise of the show. The girl comes out of the
Okay.
vault and finds out that the world has moved on and she had no clue. And it's not like the world has moved on and it's functioning. It's like a wasteland,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But people are really like just trying to survive.
Okay.
So I downloaded the video game. It was on sale for $5. So I was like, okay, if I hate this video game, it's $5. Who cares?
All right.
It holds up. It's a 10-year-old
You love
video
it.
game, and I love it. I can't stop playing. I'm like, yeah. I was like, okay, because you know, like this is not PC, and you guys can email me and be mad if you want. I would
Yeah.
call it a boy video game. It's not just for boys, but it's like very
Right.
shooting heavy. It's like a
Yeah,
video game
yeah.
that I would go over to my like guy friend's house and watch them
And
play, but
watch.
not be
That's
interested
sort of
in.
what I was getting.
Yeah,
Like I was like, I've seen people play this video game, but I've never played it.
it's a
No
lot
one's
of
ever been like,
it's a
Lizzy, here's the controller.
yeah, it's a lot of like shoot 'em up.
Hmm.
Which isn't usually my vibe. I like to like
Hmm.
pretend that I'm like a farmer or something, you know, but
Yeah.
it's the story's really good. The writing in it is really impressive, and that's why
Hmm.
I'm interested in it. So good for Bethesda
Cool.
Games.
Good for them.
Yeah, watch the show. It's pretty
Um,
good.
okay, okay, cool. Well, if I'm gonna do a pass, it's gonna be a real quick one, which is, as usual, I will pass on the rain. Not, I mean,
Mm-mm-mm.
sometimes I have a 5-year journal, something I recommend to everyone, except for that last year at this time it was 90 degrees, so that's kind of bumming me out. It's
Yeah,
raining.
but
I know it's
last
good for
year
the
we
plants.
complained because it was hot so early.
I know, but oh God,
Yeah, there was
I
no
just
winning.
wanna, I just don't want my feet to be wet. You know what I mean? I don't want to wear my
It's
boots
very
anymore,
fair.
and I don't want my feet to be wet. I feel like I've seen kids out there like in their tennies, and I get it. Like I am sick of it too. I don't want to wear boots anymore. It's almost May. But on the other hand, good for us, good for the plants. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll allow
Well, unfortunately, that was also going to be my past, kind of.
it. That's fine.
The just this is just a hating on the weather podcast.
That's fine.
Mine is from the standpoint that I have a few weeks ago, maybe like a month
Hmm.
ago, my favorite thing was my little seed starts. Well, they are no
Mm,
longer little. They are, I would say, overgrown for seed starts. They need to
uh,
go outside, but the
right.
weather is bad. And I don't want to stick them out there when it's so cold
Don't
because
want to
they won't
drown
make it
them.
because they're little
Yeah.
babies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like sitting with these like weird, gangly, like misshapenly grown seedlings because they should have been in
What
the
are
ground
they?
already. I have cabbage, cucumbers, tomatoes, and that's it, I think. Just like a few
Nice.
different varieties. So
You're
I
gonna
have like a
survive the apocalypse.
cart. I know, I'm getting ready. I would never make it because all the rich people would ration insulin, and so
Oh yeah.
But
Sorry.
but I have like a little cart that I'm gonna put the tomatoes in. It has like a built-in trellis thing, but
Hmm.
everything else, it's just they need sun. It's
Yeah.
so I'm mad at the. I like cold weather, but I'm annoyed for my plants.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
totally agree. I'm
So
trying to look at the weather right now to be like, is it ever getting better? And it's
Wednesday is
legit
supposed to.
not.
Knock on
Like
wood.
barely destiny. On my phone
Oh,
it says
oh yeah.
39 to 59 cloudy. I'm not seeing it get above. Oh, Friday it says 68 as a high.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
and I would say that I would keep you guys updated on my seed starts, but we have some news, and it's
we have
that
some sad news. You want my real pass? My real pass
tell
is
me your real
that
pass.
well, why though the podcast is going on hiatus.
Yes.
Um, not a choice we made, but you know what? A choice we live with, and that's fine. Um, we're gonna say we're going on summer break. Okay, we don't know if we're coming back at the end of summer or not. If you feel passionately about Why the Podcast and you want to see us come back, I would recommend sending me an email at lacker@oregonian.com and I will send it on. You can send me
Mm-hmm.
100 emails, a million emails. Send me all your emails. You can tweet at the Oregonian, like, where's Why the Podcast? You know, if you like this podcast and you want to come back, actually it's in your hands. I would say,
So,
yeah, there's not once I worked for KQED, this is a OPB PBS station in San Francisco, and they took Lawrence Welk off the air. To be fair, Lawrence Welk had been dead for quite some time. These were reruns of Lawrence Welk. This is a show elderly people like.
yeah,
And these elderly people started a letter writing campaign to KQED about Lawrence Welk reruns.
I love that.
And guess what? They got it back on the air.
I love
So
that.
all I'm saying is, if you love Why Though, this is in your power. This is a thing you could change.
You
Start a
can,
petition.
and yeah, what is it? Petition.org or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
let us know.
let's
Email
be
it to us.
clear. It's the podcast that's on hiatus. My column
I
will
was gonna
still
say
continue. Yeah.
the good news for all you listeners is that Lizzy's column will still come out every Tuesday at OregonLive.com/why though.
Yeah.
You can listen to all
Not
these
going away.
episodes where we chit chat about her old columns. You can read all of her old columns there. And you can still submit your questions anonymously, and Lizzy will read them and she will respond to them. Really,
Absolutely.
what you're losing is me. And I think that's
well,
probably okay.
And I am too. And I'm sad about that. And you're losing hearing us in your ears as you walk, like your pals. And that was me walking. If you can watch us on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube if you want to see me in this office. I've written "why" though over my head on a whiteboard. Yeah, I'm bummed. I enjoyed hanging out with Destiny. I enjoyed coming into the office and doing it in person. Obviously, we're not doing that today, but I liked doing it, and I would be happy if it comes back. So,
Me too. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot of stuff. I mean, I learned stuff from your columns all the time. That's why I wanted us to start this podcast, because I love your column. But yeah, it's a bummer, but the why though lives on. Do not despair. Please read Lizzy's column.
Do not despair. And if you want to feel despair, you can also listen to Taylor Swift's I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. And you can see that we can feel despair and move on. Or try. At least do what we're supposed to do.
There you go. Absolutely. It's Taylor Swift, get into it. And if you are looking for me, you can send me emails to him at djohnson@oregonian.com. You can send me your Please Bring Back Why Though the podcast emails. That'd be great. I too will pass them along. As for me, I'll probably come back in another podcast. So don't unfollow me.
She'll be around. We'll be around. Continue to talk to us. And thanks so much for listening.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. Every person who reached out to me and told me they were listening, by the way, every single time I heard that, it made me so happy. Even when it was somebody like at my kid's school who was like, I'll listen to your podcast and I feel kind of weird. I was like, you know what? Don't feel weird. I want you to listen to my podcast. So
in fact, that's why we made it.
Exactly. So thanks for listening, and email me at lacker@oregonian.com if you want to keep listening.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you.
And have a great summer.
We're putting it into the universe.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Bye.
For listening to Why Though the podcast. Subscribe for weekly episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, and don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. If you're looking for more Why Though, check out my column that comes out every Tuesday on OregonLive.com. You can support our local journalism by going to OregonLive.com/pod support.